So when we think about conservation of cardinality, we have to sort of think about everything that kids have sort of learned up until this point when they're sort of learning to count sets of objects, right? We think about standard order. We think about the one-to-one principle, and we think about cardinality or the cardinal principle. And what happens is kids begin to learn this sort of counting sets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and asking how many are there. I'll tell you there's 5 there. I just counted those. Of course there's 5, right? But what begins to get things make things a little more difficult for kids is when they begin to think about the arrangement of this set. Okay? In other words, there's 2 sort of ways to think about this. Notice when I counted this the first time, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I asked how many were there. I knew there was 5. However, is it still 5 if I count them in this order? If I start here and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or if I start in the middle and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Is there still 5 there? Is the cardinality of this set, is conservation applying to that? Do I have an understanding that the cardinality is still there? It's still the 5-ness of that set. Doesn't matter if I count it in this order or in this order or sort of starting in the middle. Conservation of cardinality also encompasses the idea that it's still 5, the 5-ness of this set remains, even if I were to move these around and sort of put them in a different place or spread them out in this way and think about counting them there. There's still 5 in the set, no matter how they're arranged or no matter the order in which I count them in. So 2 really important components of conservation of cardinality.
The thing I want to know is, can you count these? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14.
Okay, how many are here?
14.
Okay, if I took these and I mixed them up, I'm not going to add any or take any away. Do you know how many are here?
14.
Still 14? How did you know?
Because you didn't take any away.
Okay.
If you ask many of the kids, if you ask them this question in a slightly different way, for instance, in some of the things that we'll do, if you rearrange them and say, well, how many are there now? Or if you ask the child to rearrange them, some children will look at you and, kind of be like, are you serious? Is this a trick question? Are you really that dumb?
Yeah.
And they just say, there's 5 there. And other kids, if you rearrange them or ask them to rearrange them and you ask how many are there, they'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And say, okay, well, how many are there now? I don't know. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they'll do that essentially, forever. Maybe not with 5, certainly not with 2 or 3. But with numbers that are a little bit harder to notice right away, they might just keep counting them forever.
Can you count these cubes?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
How many cubes are there?
14.
14. All right, so what if I take these cubes and I'm going to move them around? I'm not going to add any or take any away. Can you tell me how many cubes there are now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
How many?
14.
14. All right, what if I move them around again? I'm not going to add any or take any away. Can you tell me how many cubes there are now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
How many?
14.
So 14? All right, what if I move them around again? I'm not going to add any or take any away. Can you tell me how many there are now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
How many?
14.
Still 14? All right, this time I'm
So
gonna...
we define conservation of cardinality as the ability of a student to understand that when the order of a set of items is changed, the cardinality of that set remains unchanged. In the standard, you can find this principle where it reads, the number of objects is the same regardless of their arrangement or the order in which they were counted.
And the conservation, one thing to be said, I think, is in the standards, the conservation of cardinality idea and the successor principle are there at kindergarten, but it is not the case that all children fully grasp these ideas in kindergarten. Really, those two ideas in particular spill over into first grade, maybe second grade, maybe even beyond, before many or most children have really got their minds wrapped around these abstract ideas.